Sir, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Sir, course content has been joined 2 minutes. Just
Yes. Please take your
yes.
time.
Very good afternoon to one and all. Resource person for this afternoon session, Professor Arvind Ranade, sir, Director of National Innovation Foundation, has joined our cloud meeting. So on behalf of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, I welcome him to this afternoon session. And today he will deliver a talk on research and development. So I welcome you, sir, and I would now hand over the proceeding to you.
Good afternoon, all. I hope I am audible to all of you.
Yes, sir, you're audible. You're audible.
So nice of you. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be part of this orientation program organized by UGC's Malviya Mission Teachers Training Center, which is located at Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, Sambhajinagar. This is really a great opportunity and great platform for me to interact with all of you, especially in the context of a new education policy, which actually is something that is important for many reasons. Because I think this is the kind of an policy which we have got after almost 34 years of the education policy which was there in the framework or in India. Now there are three different aspects when we speak about new education policy, especially in the context of entire ecosystem of an education. I think what matters in this whole process, or what am I going to speak for another 90 minutes or so, is going to take you to the journey of how the education as a very important substance to really make the the entire population to learn many things, to unveil many things, and to understand and take the nation on the very different platform. When I say taking the nation into the different platform, wherein each and every citizen of the country becomes important when we try to imbibe the values, imbibe the knowledge, and also make use of that knowledge, make use of that learnings in their day-to-day life. And that education will help for upbringing, for upscaling the livelihood or the life of the people. And I think it is very true today that when we look at any nation or any country across the globe, I think the country which has top up in the ladder at many aspect, those are the one who really have taken the education to a different level, ensuring that the entire population rises its level of understanding, level of thinking, making the system or making the entire society a knowledge society so that the people can take the very informed decision. And while taking the informed decision, what matters is the understanding of each and every aspect, including the nature, including the society, including the people, and including the socio-economic context of the country. So, in looking all those important parameters, the education becomes so important for all of us. Now, when I'm addressing to all of you, especially all of you belongs to the higher education sector, and in the process that because almost after 34 years of the existence of an education policy which is in place, we are coming up with the new framework. And I think all of us, especially those who have now got the major responsibility to make the new generations, to make the new population very versatile, very knowledgeable, very multidisciplinary, approachable society. Those who have come out of one particular education policy, but trying to take the challenge of fulfilling the needs, fulfilling the targets of the new education policy. So we have come up from one particular policy framework, which we have learned in a very systematic, or I would say the very differential orientation work that we have come up with. But we are the one now who has need to understand the new education policy, not only to understand, but at the same time, we need to learn, we need to unfold many things. And by learning the entire the aspect of this education policy, we also need to generate the new, I would say, the generation to develop, to bring, to understand the expectations that what new education policy expect from all of us. Now, looking at all those important aspects, what I consider that for next 90 minutes or so, there are different aspects on which I'm going to focus on. But broadly, if I have to say that I will be focusing on three different aspects in my presentation. And what are all those three objects, or how I have planned my presentation? One is something that which we have come out of one particular education policy, which we have learned. We are, after learning, we have come to a situation or come to an position where we have got the responsibility of teaching a new generation, which is altogether going to come out of the new education. So that means something which we have learned, which we need to sometimes rework, redo, or maybe what we can say is that we need to unveil many of the things which, some of the things which we are good, which we are very confident about, but something that we ourselves are not very well equipped about, many things which we are to learn and deliver as well. The second aspect is something that now, knowing the fact that we have to accustom, we have to learn, we have to teach the new generation. But in the process, there is a large amount of work that we need to learn. And in the process of learning, we need to also ensure what the outcome is supposed to be delivered out of all the learnings, all the trainings, all the work that we have been doing. And the third, I would consider, when I look at the audience here, or the people who are listening to me, those who are working in the higher education system. And while doing the higher education system, since we have come out of with one particular framework based on our education time in our learning process. Now, the new generation which we are going to cope up with, or which we is going to come and to whom we need to address, to whom we need to teach, will definitely going to come from a different perspective. They are going to have a different orientation. They are going to have a wide spectrum of knowledge, because when we come out of one particular mechanism or a system, we have learned, we have understood, we have worked out in one frame of reference. But now when the new generation which is going to come will have a multi-dimensional approach, multidisciplinary approach, and learning curves with them. So we need to realize that how all those dimensional aspects are going to help for making them not only informed, but a person, a citizen who is going to have his own employment, who is also going to substantially contribute in the socio-economic development. Doing that, what we need to ensure that what is been projected, what is been planned, especially for his personal growth, should also be complementing to the national growth. So we have to realize, we have to understand the multi-dimensional, multidisciplinary approach the generation is going to come, and we need to not only understand, but we need to widen the understanding and to further, with our own experience, with our own tools and techniques which we have learned, to make them aware, to make them understand, and have a leapfrog in their own work that they have planned for. And the third important is, when we as a professional work in the higher education system or higher education domain, what is important in the whole process is to contribute in the R&D system, that is research and development, and also in the perspective of an innovation. Because these are three important parameters we need to realize, we need to understand that if we have a consistency, understanding, and contribution in terms of the research, then there is a large scope of development in what we have been doing. Now, while doing the research and the associated development, this both will not happen unless and until there is a tool or there is another technique or the idea which we come up with an innovation. So we need to understand those challenges, we need to meet those challenges. While doing both the thing, we need to have the creative thinking, creative understanding, and at the same time, creative delivery mechanism. So in the whole process, the innovation becomes important, and only after that, what we actually expect to deliver in terms of the new education policy, in terms of what we need to bring the nations to the forefront when we look at the global challenges, all that is going to happen, and all that is being put in front of us. We need to work on all those three different aspects at the same time. That means simultaneously, we have got many things to do in the process. So what I was thinking that in the next about 60 minutes time, what I will be orienting, what I will be speaking about is to give you the idea about how this new education policy has been put forth by the team of the people, those who designed, who developed this new education policy. And this new education policy consists of what are all the different aspects, and how this new education policy is going to be a very critical when it comes to equip ourselves. So for next 60 minutes or so, I will be speaking about these three important aspects. And to begin with, I consider that it is essential that we all know a bit of this education policy, though we will be focusing largely on the higher education aspect of this training program, but it is essential that we know, we understand, and we deal with all the aspects of this education policy. Now, looking at all that, what it becomes important for all of us is to know what are all the things which are placed in front of us by this new education policy. Now, as I said, when we have to take the challenges, when we look at what we have to in next 25 years, or maybe to lead the world with a different approach, then it becomes important for us to know what are all the new things that this education policy is expecting from us. So to say the few important parameters or few key aspects of the new education policy, which was announced somewhere in the July 2020, which focuses or which aims on the paving the way for transformative reforms in the country's education system and helping India transitions to an equitable and vibrant knowledge society. Now, when we speak about this transformative reforms, especially in the context of education system, what it aims, what it look forward is to not only in terms of knowing this education or knowing the what we learn in the well developed, what we call it as in a more formative way, what we call it as an formal education system. What we learn is something which is not going to be a stereotypical, which has to incorporate various important aspects of our life. That means our education should focus, should address all the practical aspects related to the life that we deal with. So we need to understand what the nature's beauty is, at the same time unfolding the nature's beauty, at the same time how those knowledge is going to help us when we live in the nature. And while living in the nature, it also going to important that this knowledge or this work or this education should also help us in unfolding the nature, at the same time equip the whole society to take the whole nation ahead in terms of understanding the nature, in terms of doing the services to the people, in making the livelihood, in making the lifestyle of the people very well. I would say the which actually encompasses, which actually incorporate all these important aspect of it. At the same time, that education should also help for the society, by which we go ahead in terms of all our learning curves, livelihood, lifestyle, ensuring the nature remains intact. At the same time, we take care of each and every aspect of our ecosystem. So while doing that transformative reforms, it becomes essential that the whole education system, when it comes to the teaching, when it comes to the learning, when it comes to the delivery, that everything has to be a tangent associated, which gives understand that there is some outcome which associates with each and every parameters to know in the details. Now, when we look at the present kind of an curriculum framework, especially the school curriculum framework, then presently we have 10+2. Of course, presently means till 2020, we all have come out of 10+2 structure. But now we are going to focus on the preschool, that too on the elementary, middle, high, levels, schooling, as well as ensuring when the child comes out of the school curriculum framework, he is more knowledgeable, his ideas, his understanding has got a various, things equipped with the child. Now, in the process, what is been framework as far as the school curriculum is concerned is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. That means initially for first after the child takes the birth, initially for 3 years, what we call is at the very fundamental understandings and knowing the parents, the whole family structure. In the initial 5 years time, when it comes to the understanding of the fundamental structure of the schooling, we ensure that the child really gets to know the fundamental aspects associated with the life in terms of the foundational literacy, numeracy, and in the whole process, there is something that we expect that the child, when it comes with this new framework, will have minimum understanding when it comes to this 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 ladder, in which when the child comes to the schooling mechanism, initially after the nursery or lower KG, upper KG, what he learns in the first 5 years is a minimum understanding is associated with the child. And after that, it is minimum expected understanding is with that particular child in terms of the academic stream, in terms of the arts, science, curriculum, extracurricular activities. So the child, when it comes, he should be able to realize and understands these very different aspects associated with his or her life. Now, at the same time, when the child comes out of the education system, he should be well versed with taking the challenges and understanding the international scenario in terms of the international education mechanism, in terms of emphasizing on the multilingualism. What we understand by this is when the child is coming to the education stream, he should be having options to learn his own mother tongue. In addition to his own mother tongue, he should be able to have at least one another language by which he can have extra benefit of learning the other language. When it comes to the international scenario, he should be also equipped with minimum 3 learning languages equipped with him. In terms of, let us say, when we talk in terms of the Maharashtra, the child should be able to have his basic understanding, learnings in Marathi. At the same time, he should be also allowed to opt for the 2 more languages. Now, what in the whole process is to understand in the whole process of NEP is that when the child is going to come out of this, we need to know that his understanding about the languages is not going to be restricted only with 1 or 2 languages, but it can be more than 2. So knowing the fact that the child who is going to come out of this, he will be more dimensionally equipped boy or a girl, and we should be able to continue the progress, continue his curve in terms of taking the education for the further level. Now, one of the important NEP's expectation is that presently, if I am not wrong, the present educational GDP contribution is around 1.6 to 1.7% of the GDP. But we expect that this GDP from 1.4 to 1.6% should be increased to the 6%. Now, when we understand this percentage, what we know is that in the days to come, the government is expected to invest a lot in terms of the education system. May it be the infrastructure, may it be the human resources, may it be the people, all the way allowing them to have more kind of an resources available, at the same time more multidimensional approach. No, I would say the teaching mechanism, and of course with the more infrastructured facilities. So as we go ahead, we need to realize that now the investment is going to be the higher side, the expected outcome will also be on the higher side. So we need to understand from those perspective as well. Now, the more specialized emphasis will be on the technology integration and development of online courses and digital infrastructure. I think in the recent time of COVID, we realized the importance of the technology intervention, especially when we were not allowed to have one-to-one communication, physical meetings. Then this online technology has helped to a large extent. That means it also is going to come up with the different kind of courses which will allow to generate the syllabus, which will allow to learn the syllabus through the online processes, and will also be able to deliver through the various technological tools. So in the days to come, we as a teacher community, as a teaching community, should also be ready to learn, ready to understand, and ready to further, after learning the whole technology, should be able to deliver with that. So this is another important thing that we need to focus on, we need to understand. Now, in addition to that, what is another important factor is to the vocational education integrated with the mainstream education right from the class 6. That means once the child is reaching only to the class 6, now he will be having a more emphasis and more kind of facilities to go for the vocational education. That means when the child is coming out of the education, so school education system, he will be more skilled person. He will be ready for the entrepreneurship. So the understanding of a child is going to be multidimensional as it comes out of the school education system. Now, what it matters is especially for those who are going to deal with such students who have a multidimensional understanding, multidisciplinary approach, learning process. So what we need to understand is that the higher education reform should also be able to also be able to, is in terms of coping those understanding in terms of the multiple entry and exit. That means what learning that the boy has got, perhaps he may be interested to continue what he has learned, or may be interested to quit at one particular point of time. So the higher education is going to allowing the students to have a multiple entry and multiple exit. Now, in the process of multiple entry and multiple exit, that means a child who is going to come into the higher education will not remain in the system for a very long. There could be a chances that the system, the process will allow a child only for a very, very specific period or point of time. But whatsoever the time that the child is going to be in the system, he should be able to progressively continue to go ahead with its learning curve, and will also have the opportunities for the multidisciplinary approach. That means we need to ensure that whatever the time the child is going to be with us, we should have a continuous process of learning, delivering, and understanding process. So the responsibilities on the people, responsible, especially people means those who are in the stage of making them more knowledgeable, especially the teachers community. Teacher community need to be at least one step ahead of what the child is going to come to you. So we also need to understand the whole process to a greater depth. Now, at the same time, if multiple entry, multiple exit system or process is also going to allow a child who will be taking the interest, who will be joining the system, who will be joining the process, but has a long career path. That means he is interested to continue with the research. He is interested to continue with the long-term association with the educational system. Now, in the process, what is important is that he or she has shown the interest for the research. He has shown the interest for taking the subject ahead to level by which he understood. So, for that purpose, the Government of India is also going to come up with the National Research Foundation, which is going to be perhaps the one-stop solution, especially when it comes to the research funding, when it comes to the R&D work associated with the various programs, that too in terms of the science, technology, and innovation. And all these academic institutions, in terms of the universities, in terms of the colleges, will also have a more autonomy. Now, slowly, all the institutions will have a more autonomy. That means you will have a more flexible kind of a process to define your own curriculum, define your own outcomes and measurable outcomes. So all that is going to be part of the whole process. Now, slowly, what is this 6% GDP is going to be? So this 6% GDP is going to be utilized for the teachers training development programs, integration of new technologies, in terms of the various investments that we look forward. So all that is going to be planned with this new education policies in the process. Now, what is important when we all are looking at this new education policy is to ensure that all the teachers community that we are now should also be ready for learning very important parameters, which will also ensure that the learning outcomes are the student's future. That means the teacher should be able to understand, teacher should be able to deliver, for which the student's future is going to be associated with. So what it becomes important is to need for the continuous professional development of the teacher. So we also should realize that to make this NEP really satisfy the needs of the society, that we will also be in the process of do and redo. That means some of the things we may have to do, some things we may have to leave at one particular point of time, but also should be ready for doing it, or what we call it as a redoing the things. Now, how it is going to be important, because we will have to increase, we'll have to understand the teacher, quality of the teacher. We need to understand at the same time that our quality teaching is really helping the new generation to learn and unfold various programs. Now, in the process, we are also going to see that some of the courses will, as I said, like multiple entry, multiple exit, will also be focusing on the various programs which will allow them in the process. For some locations, they can be part of the system for a year, for a 2, maybe for 3. And some of the programs will also go on increasing the longevity of the programs. Now, in terms of the B.Ed, which will be 4-year integrated education programs, which will be focusing on the rigorous curriculum and pedagogy training. Now, establishment of a national and state level councils for teacher educations to regulate teachers' preparation standards. So, what we need to understand that we will have a process, we will also have a different state and national level councils for teachers' educations, which will regulate the teachers' preparation standards. So, we all will also be going in the evaluation mechanism, where our understanding, our level of delivery will also be checked at many locations, which will also provide the continuous professional development opportunities through the universal availability of online and offline training programs. So we may also have to go with all such kind of training programs by which we will upscale our understanding, which will also have rewards for the various programs or various tools that we learn or understands and make it use for the various purposes. Now, this is also going to help for the teachers, or especially in terms of the pedagogy, that what is going to happen is that more or less the entire teaching will be student centric. That means we need to understand that what we teach, what we are going to focus on is going to help the students for his personal growth, by which many of his other aspects are going to be considered. So we'll also ensure that what we teach, what we focus on is going to enhance the various skills of the person, or going to enhance the various aspect of the child. So largely we will be focusing on the experimental learning scheme. So what we know is that when the child is going to be in the society, all the learnings, what he has learned in the education mechanism should also help for his growth when it comes to the society. So whatsoever that our parameters are, what our learning or syllabus oriented or pedagogy is focusing, which will ensure that he or she learns various things which involves the skills, which involves direct connect with the arts and craft, which also have a direct beneficiaries when it comes to the practical life that we understand. So in the process, what we will need is to use multimedia aspects. We should be able to understand, experiential teacher learning techniques when it comes to the ITC, that is information technology communication tools. We will also be focusing on the conceptual understandings. That is where we are also going to focus on what we know in a more detailed format is to 360-degree evaluation. Every parameter will be touched upon, understanding the various aspects of the learning curve. And all that is going to be important when it comes to the peer-to-peer learning as well. So one way is that what we teach to the students, at the same time what the student is learning from his peer group. So all that is going to be integrated in whole of this new education framework. Now, we also need to understand that this education system will also help for many important points to understand. So tomorrow, in days to come, will the dependency of the child is going to be very less, especially in terms of the teaching fraternity, because it will have various online platforms available, various techniques available, various online facilities are going to be available. So in the process, we need to understand that everywhere we will be in a positions to make that system suits to them. Now, once that happens, because to ensure the national growth, there is one aspect that the certain amount of group will be more focused on the certain entry exit aspects, but certain amount of students are going to be focusing on the R&D aspects, because R&D also becomes so important, especially to learn and to take the subject ahead. Now, in terms of the research and development, what is need to know is that the research becomes an essential to create a new knowledge and drive the innovations and progress in any field. So this will be another focus as we progress upon. Then at the same time, it also aims to strengthen the research culture in the Indian higher education and promote the research as a core function of an universities. So that means when the child is going to come out of this R&D framework, he should be able to realize the progressive curve in terms of contributions to the subject, contributions to the the focus that he is going to be. And these focuses will also have a world-class capabilities to address the national priorities and local problems. So basically, the system is going to allow for the children to prioritize the area of research, which will be going to help for the nation's building. So the problems that is going to be taken up should depends on the priority areas. The children should be encouraged to look into those problems so that such R&D is going to help for the national integrations as well as the national progress. So all that will be going to be important points for the new educations. Now, at the same time, what is more important to understand in the whole process is once this child is going to come out of higher education, the person or the child will be able to support, should be able to progress for his individual growth. At the same time, should also be contributing to the social scenario. Now, in the process, what becomes important for the higher education people is to provide them a platform, is to give them a kind of a ecosystem where such ideas, such framework, what the person is coming up with should be allowed to do the lot of research, lot of innovations that is going to come in the whole process. Now, when we come to the different parameter, I think up to this time we spoke about what this NEP is expecting with the facilities, with in terms of the what outcome that the system should provide, or what outcome that the child should be able to deliver, is all depends on how this system is going to be accepted by the society, by the educational institutions. And at the same time, we as a teacher, we as a people who focuses on the higher education, now we are going to have a challenges, because till today what we have learned from our present, or I would say the perhaps 4 years before education system in the place, that we were trained, we were equipped with a certain amount of ideas, a certain amount of understanding, certain amount of tools. But tomorrow, when the new generation is going to come, we should be in a positions to not only to understand the problem that the child is coming up with, but we should be also able to add on, should be able to guide, should be able to give the new approach so that his progress and his interest continues, as because the potential that we look into the child is to help the society, to help the nation for more informed decision makings. Now, in the process, what matters is, as I said, that innovation aspect becomes more important. Now, here we are going to look into the innovation approach, especially in the present context, that how this innovation approach, especially when it comes to the grassroots level, those who have never have any opportunity of any education system in the present context, but still these people do have lot of understandings of the problems, lot of understandings of the their own constraints, and based on those constraints, based on the ability of the resources, how the solutions are going to be there. Now, what I'm going to speak for the next 30 or 40 minutes is going to tell you some of the very foolproof kind of an examples wherein the local problems are being solved by the local people, but the solutions have a potential that it can actually help in a manifold ways. So especially in terms of the National Innovation Foundation, what we do here is to basically look for such people, those who have a lot of potential, those who are actually working on their own problems, but in the process of solving their regional or local problems, how those solutions are becoming solutions for the society, solutions for the large amount of people. So what we do here is to basically look for such kind of an innovations, such kind of an innovators who have been working for solving their own problems, but who does not have much of the backgrounds of the formal education system. Now, in spite of all that, I think what matters in the whole presentation here is that at one point of time, we are speaking about new education policy framework, which is going to allow the people, which is going to allow the students to have more understandings, more knowledge, at the same time, more approaches towards the various subject. Now, here is the exactly the another kind of a situation who has never got an idea, who has never got an exposure to be part of the education system, but being a part and parcel of the society, being a part and parcel of the entire ecosystem, how these people have understood the problems, how those problems they have solved, and once they have solved the problems, they have really substantially changed the entire understanding of those problems and the solutions, but they have never been accounted for various reasons. Now, this is where the role of National Innovation Foundation comes into, that when we do not have any such system in place, but the people who are working on those problems, perhaps when this NEP is going to be 100% implemented by 2025 or maybe by 2030, when we look at the real outcome of this new NEP is going to be there, what I personally feel is that such kind of generations are going to be more closer to the society. They will understand the problems to the more of its depth, and perhaps because of the various opportunities in NEP, will be able to substantially contribute into these kind of an innovations, into these kind of solutions, so that the value addition or a research and development can be done at the local level as well. Because before it reaches to the laboratory, before it reaches to the well-infrastructured facility-based locations, certain amount of value must have been added by these new people, these new intellects, by which the journey of a product, journey of the innovation will become more faster, will have a shorter lifetime, will have a larger impact. And of course, in the process, it also becomes important that what innovations, what new addition, what new that uniqueness that we have brought has also been protected under the intellectual property management. Now, when it comes to that particular level, it also becomes important that the solutions to the local problems has got a potentials to convert that prototype or convert that small innovations into the product level, by which the technology can be enhanced, by which the technology products can be enhanced. And such products can also need to be disseminated or diffused at the social level or for the larger benefit of the people. And of course, in the process, what matters is the knowledge management and the information technology resources, how beautifully we can make use of. Now, here I'm just trying to show you some of these, how NIF's role has come into the picture, and how this NIF has started working for those problems, and how this work has been considered in terms of the National Innovation Index. Because till perhaps 2021, we at the national level never had any innovation index framed by our own country. But because of the new kind of understandings and the importance of those contributors, these grassroots innovations have also been considered for the India Innovation Index. Now, in terms of the global level, how this innovation positions work on, how this innovation system work in. That means any innovation, when it is at the level of idea, we call it as a TRL level 1, that is a technology readiness level. Now, when there is an idea to sort out, to meet those solutions of the problem, we stands at the idea level, which we consider as a TRL level 0. But substantially, when we look at the society with our own mechanism, we find that there are solutions, there are innovations which are not only at the idea level, but which also have up to the level of a certain amount of frugal innovations. They have really substantially worked on it, and that innovation from the idea has reaches to the frugal level. And after the intervention of science and technology, with the help of R&D, that level of this innovation has increased from TRL level 2, 3 to up to the TRL level 6 or 7. Now, of course, such TRL level 6 and 7 can also doesn't suffice or cannot stand, especially when it has to brought to the market level. So there are some of the examples wherein the intervention of National Innovation Foundation has brought such innovations to a level wherein the grassroots innovators who have never had any such kind of an opportunities to have the fruits of education, but the person who was trying to solve the problems of his own, how in the process of solving the problems, how those problems come up with the solutions, become a solutions for the larger society as well. So this is one of the example which I am trying to share here. Is our one of the innovator named Krishan Lal Krishan Lalji from Bikaner in Rajasthan. When he was trying to have the in situ solutions, or because we all know that when the groundnuts are being made, there is a lot of process for which the graded nuts are need to be brought to the market. Now there is a lot of process involved in the whole system. Now once the groundnuts are being taken from the field, what we need to do is decortication. We need to remove the their covers. We need to remove their coatings, and then after we also need to grade them according to maybe their size, maybe their content, and maybe their depending on the value of the nuts. So this person, when he realized this problem, he has come up with his own solution, and he has developed a tractor-operated groundnut decorticator or grader. And this is his grader, which you could see here, which is having a capacity of producing nearly 800 to 1000 kg of groundnuts in a 1 hour, with just a fuel consumption of 2.5 to 3 liters of the diesel. And when he has come up with this, what it has been realized that the decorticating efficiency has about 97%. That means there is a very less amount of wastage which has got produced out of this process. Otherwise, it used to be a very highly, what we call a drudgery, involved process, and a huge amount of women's are engaged for doing this decortication, and we used to spend a lot of time, lot of money on that. But because of this small intervention, this particular man has developed this groundnut decorticator, by which the efficiency and the productivity has increased. And we consider now that this particular innovation has an impact of the technology, that this particular decorticator can actually do a lot of in situ value addition to the farmers, because it can reduce a lot amount of transportation money for taking such groundnuts to the different locations to get that done, and then also have a what you're saving of large amount of time, large amount of money, and also enhance the what you call it as the income of the farmer. So this is one of such example that in spite of the people who has never had any fruits of the education per se, these people have contributed to a lot. This is one example which I shared. This is another example, which is paddy straw cutter for the mushroom cultivation. In here, what you see basically is, I think in Maharashtra, especially in the Konkan region, you see there is a large amount of rice cultivation happens. Now, this particular paddy straw cutter, which has developed by an innovator, basically from the Odisha, by the Ajay Kumar Prusti, what he has realized that this particular paddy bundle have a lot of potential for the in-house mushroom cultivation. So to have that mushroom cultivation, it becomes important that you need to have such raw material in terms of the paddy straw in a very systematic manner, and that this cutter is allowing this paddies to be cut in a particular desired size, in desired amount of bundles, and this has helped for doing the mushroom cultivation, and it also reduces large amount of manual efforts, and it also increase the productivity of a mushroom bar the farmer in a manifold. So such kind of solutions are being suggested by our grassroots innovators. This is another example of a modified boiler developed by Subhash Ola from Alwar, Rajasthan. Now, this is something which is unique. I mean, today we are speaking about the new education policy, how the new generations are going to equipped with. When we already have a well infrastructured laboratory based facilities, but look at this man of named Subhash Ola, who has realized the wastage of large amount of water, the energy for production of the steam, all that, and then the idea generated to him, can he make use of the steam, or can he recycle the steam in the boiler, so that the energy efficiency can be increased with a less amount of fuel, a large amount of production of steam can be possible, and which he has proved the idea by use of recycling the steam. And what he has done in the boiler, that he has again utilized the steam which used to be at the temperature of about 100 plus, by making it, once it get condensed, the temperature get reduced. But what is important is to make use of the new water. He again recharged it. He has again made that temperature to the higher level. So that means the same water has been reused by, and it definitely reduces the energy requirements, or the fuel requirements, or water consumption. And by this way, he has actually saved fuel and the water to range from the 30 to 80%. So this is another example which he has made use of a modified boiler, and this modified boiler is actually helping to many industries, especially in the cotton industry, in the food industry, that these boilers have now become and a large amount of money savings for the various industry people. Now, what is here to understand in the whole process is that if such people that we get to know from our society, if our education systems or our education infrastructural institutions can provide the helping hand to all of them, then the in situ, what you call it as a process becomes easy and can also help to a large extent. This is the third another example of an innovator called C.V. Raju. I think it is largely known that large amount of toys which are being made in the plastic industries or in any other industries that we see in the modern time, that it actually uses a large amount of chemicals which are really hazardous in terms of the small kids who is growing kid will also suffer from all that. Now, in this CV Raju from Andhra Pradesh, what he has done, he has actually used the vegetable dye from the plants and tree, and all the colors that you could see has been developed from the vegetable dye, which is very, very eco-friendly. It does not have any bad impact on the child, and it also encourages the traditional toy in the society as well. Now, with this simple kind of contributions by such people has really made a large amount of change in the system. So this is something that we need to understand. Now, in terms of another innovations, which is a multi-tree climber, especially again in the coastal region, you all know when it comes to the coconut tree, when it comes to the what you call the supari tree and all, it requires large amount of risk taking kind of process involved in this. So this another multi-tree climber has been developed by one of our innovator from the Tamil Nadu, Mr. D.N. Venkat. And what he has developed is a safety kind of a climber which ensures the what the process of climbing the tree becomes quite easy, ergonomically very well positions, and also enhance the safety of such people who actually used to do without such kind of an equipments with in their hands. So it also reduces the large amount of accidents, which also reduces the drudgery, and also have a large amount of social impact when it comes to the even in terms of the savings, in terms of the money involved, in terms of the various aspects. Now, these are all some of the examples which I have shown. Now, here also there is another example of sal leaf plate bowl making machine. What our innovator from the Odisha has done, he has developed this machine or a technology with his own understanding, because the area where he live in, especially the Mayurbhanj area, there is a large amount of sal trees are there, and those trees can actually, these leaves of such trees can be used for making such plates or bowls for the large amount of functions. And this particular kind of an technology, if we do the in situ installations in the local vicinity, the large amount of employments can be generated, large amount of the things can be developed at the local level, and can also help to a larger extent. So this is going to help for various purposes, and that helps to a large number of people. These are all some of the examples. There is no point in just tell you all those examples. It becomes essential, I think, for all of you to actually see these innovations, how these innovators have understood the problems of the society, and how they have, with their own ideas, have come forward and helped to many people for finding the solutions to their local problem. Now, these are all some of the examples from the engineering, and here are some of the examples from the agriculture field as well. Now, this is one of the example of an cauliflower developed by Sanjeev Kumar. And what he has done, he has developed a variety of an cauliflower, which is can actually be grown in a less water stress condition. So such kind of varieties, such kind of vegetable varieties are also been grown by some of our farmers. Here in another example that you could see is a sorghum variety, which is nothing but the jowar. So another advantage of such varieties is that it is very easily grown kind of a seed, especially suitable for the drought condition, especially the region like Marathwada. So all these kind of products or the seeds or the vegetables or the cereals are being produced by our grassroots innovators, and all the variety that you could see here is after the large amount of work being carried out for testing purpose, for ensuring the productivity, the number of aspects related to it. So some of the examples of what you call is drumstick. Here is a Moringa variety Vishala that you could see how big those drumsticks are, and it also helps for various purposes. So in general, what we consider that such varieties have a specific kind of an orientation, specific kind of the aspects associated with it. In terms of the Moringa variety, you could see that it can be suitably grown in the organic cultivations. We have another black rice variety which is developed by Upendra and also named by his name. This kind of rice variety can also be produced in the drought as well as the flood conditions. So these varieties are being developed by our breeders, our farmers, based on large amount of work being carried out, tested on the various field. So here are some of the examples of the millets like bajra that you could see. There is onion variety. All these varieties are being developed by them, ensuring that the productivity, the yield per hectare, all that is going to help for our farmers. So these are all the progressive farmers that you could see, and these are some of the outstanding traditional knowledge that we have. So as we know, the India is the rich in terms of the outstanding traditional knowledge. All that happens, all that is available with us with the help of these knowledge and all kind of work that we carry out at the various level. All these treatments, herbal formulations, everything that comes from a very, I would say, a person who has hardly got a chance from the education sector. So here, what you could see here is the herbal formulation for cataract. If you could be able to identify the cataract in the early stage, then you do not have to go for operation. So even a 3 dose of 3 drops or so these are all the right now the human trials are going on in the Pune with the Bharati Vidyapit, and very soon we are in a positions that such products will also come into the market. So the point to emphasize here is to let you know that when we are trying to look for the new NEP, I think large amount of people, large amount of students who are going to come out of this will be able to do a large amount of value addition to such kind of innovations when they are being scouted and identified by the various people. So these are all some of the example of the grassroots innovators that you could see, and they have been getting recognized at the various places from this, from the government, from the private. The example here you could see that the Subhash Ola's, modified boiler is being used in the various industries which I was mentioning to you. In fact, all these innovations or technologies are being used for various purposes for the social diffusion, for the social diffusion, and we have been able to make substantial change in the livelihoods of the common people as well. Here are some of the examples that these technologies are installed in the what do you call it as a correctional home, and all those people therein are using such kind of things. So there are some of these examples that when it reaches in terms of the idea, how we convert that idea into the product. Here is one of the example. The idea was given by a school-going child, and the idea was to have an adjustable walker. We worked on it for various time, And then finally, the product has come to this stage. And not only that, such technologies are transferred to various private industries, and industries has also taken up that idea into the product level, and those products are now being commercialized as well. So these are some of the examples that you could see here, which has led to various purposes, and these are some of the technologies that has gone into the market for for various purposes. So in total, what I could see here is, I think I will not take this further. These are all some of the things which we thought of making it possible that this, grassroots innovations can help various purposes and can help for the large amount of change in the process. So I think what I have shown, what I have discussed here is to make you understand that this new education policy, when we are going to see the product, or I would say the people coming out of this NEP, I think what innovations I have shown will have a large amount of substantial contributions by these people. And I'm sure this will be able to do a large amount of work in those systems. So I think this is all from my side, especially for this particular talk at this moment. But I will be happy to discuss. I will be happy to talk about the answers to some of your questions if you have, so that we can take this for the further level. Thank you so much. Dhanyavad. I could see the hand raised by Khan Samaya ma'am. So can someone ask the question?
Yes, participants, you can unmute themselves. Any question?
Good
Yes,
afternoon, sir. It was really informative session. Uh, Actually, I was asked you this NFP session was related to patent and design also. Uh, the things you told about the agriculture produce just got the registration number, variety of that. But in patent, in section 3, it is not allowed to for the patentable agricultural produce. So in which category it is coming, the innovation of the new varieties? I just not getting that point.
No, see, basically, when it comes to the registration of these varieties, see, when it comes to for the registration, there are a lot of process involved in this. So it's not only once you register and you get that approved or registered very quickly. So it goes for various trials, that too from local level to the national level. And in the whole process, what matters is what you claim. There are various aspects associated with the variety get registered only when all the claims being put for by the innovator, or let us say the breeder, or let us say the progressive farmer, all has to stand on all the claims that you make. And once it has been done, then only such varieties are getting registered. Now, as far as the production of such things are concerned, it becomes it is a matter of lot of things involved. So I think, yeah. So I think at this stage, what is important to understand that first, that uniqueness, what you call it is the uniqueness of that variety, should be first recognized. And once that is, because see, these are all the agricultural products. It depends on various parameters. It depends on the what you called as agroclimatic conditions, soil conditions, the level of the the quality of the water. All things are associated. But in the whole process, what is important is it takes long time. The some of the examples which I have shown, it's not that we just scouted and got it done within a quick time. All the products which I have shown has gone for nearly 10 years or 8 years of hard work for making it get registered. So there are various things that are associated in the whole process.
So NAP is also enforcing or the youth or the India in going to the patent publications or GI tag publications. They are also focusing on that also, or any
Yes.
initiative they are taking for that.
Yeah, that is what. So, see, I think as it comes into the implementation aspect, you will always have various training programs on how such patenting can be done, how intellectual properties can be maintained, how intellectual property can be managed. So it will require a certain amount of further training, how the claim has to be made, how the patent process goes, what are all the process involved, how much time it takes, how do the documentation has to be done. So it requires a good amount of exercise, and I hope when this is going to be kind of largely focused on, similar training will also be given.
So it's a request that NAV should include the workshops related to patent, GI tags, and trademarks also.
Definitely, definitely. I totally agree with you, and I'm sure it will happen. It will happen.
Thank you.
Since there is no more question,
Yes, participants, anyone question?
even you can send me the questions on email, which I
Yeah,
will
sir,
be
you
able
can
to.
send your mail in chat box.
Yeah, I'm just sending email in my chat box.
Yes, Naresh Bile, sir. So I think no any questions to move to the vote of thanks. नरेश बेले सर, आपका कोई क्वेश्चन है तो आप अनम्यूट किए सर आपको मैं. Okay. So, behalf of Dr. Babsa Ambedkar Marathwada University, UGC Malaya Mission Teacher Training Center, my special thanks to today's research person, Professor Arvind C. Ranade, sir. Sir, for sparing the valuable time for this NAP session, a special thank to Ranade, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Yes. Participants, आपको अटेंडेंस के लिए चैट बॉक्स में आपका रोल नंबर डाल, ओनली रोल नंबर डाल.
एक्सक्यूज मी सर, रोल नंबर अभी तक हमको मिला नहीं है, तो हमारा रजिस्ट्रेशन फर्स्ट से हुआ है.
Participants, you can write your roll number in chat box. Last 1 minute.
32.
Any participant present here, you can write down your roll number in chat box. Participant, you can leave the meeting.